there's no better education than getting out and seeing the world.
The experiences are what you're going to remember in the long run.
Getting out to see the world has just really opened my eyes to a lot of things.
I know a little bit about a lot of random things, and that's because of travel.
We're going to learn so much more and stay up to date with these destinations.
It's going to help us get even better at building group itineraries.
I'm really looking forward to having great conversations about places.
Welcome to Destination Dispatch.
Hello, I'm Jim Delleman with Group Travel Odyssey, and as we said, welcome to Destination Dispatch. We've got another fantastic episode planned for you this week, but before we get started, just a reminder, if you want to connect, and we'd love for you to connect with Group Travel Odyssey on LinkedIn, make sure you look for us there. Also, like the Group Travel Odyssey Facebook page, and if you are watching us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button down below, and also if you ring that bell, you'll be notified anytime we have new content on our YouTube channel. Well, this afternoon, we are going to take you to yet another fantastic destination that has a lot that they're going to be able to offer your groups. It has some of my favorite things, history, vineyards, things like that. So we will discuss all of that in just a couple short minutes. But before we do so, I want to bring on our co-host today. He is the host of Destinations Beyond Expectations podcast, Stevie G. Hey, Stevie.
Howdy, happy Thursday. How are you, Jim?
I'm good. I'm happy it's Thursday. I'll have to say that. Or
yeah, we're almost
Friday Eve. So
yes, almost to the end of the week.
Yes, and it has been a week, so that's it's always good when we get to this point. It's also good when we get to this point because we've got yet another really fantastic place to discuss and bring to our groups this afternoon. Have you been to this area?
I've driven through it, and it's very, very pretty. We're going to get into all the wineries, as you already touched, but the beautiful landscape and the farming and everything that's out in this area is just absolutely stunning. So I'm looking forward to learning even more about it.
As am I. And one of the great things that it has going for it is its close proximity to DC in the Washington, DC area. And so we will be discussing a lot of that more thoroughly. So please, why don't we bring on our guest today? So she is the tour and travel sales manager with Visit Loudoun in Loudoun County, Virginia. Please welcome Hannah Oliver.
Hi, gentlemen. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. As you said, excited for Friday Eve.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. And we were all chatting, before this briefly, and it does seem like at this time of year, and we all feel very fortunate about this, but at this time of year, it's just crazy busy. And we're very, very happy to have that happening again after a couple of years of things not being busy. So, we're happy to have that happening. And Hannah, how are things going in Loudoun?
Things are going great. It's a beautiful time of year and it's busy. So like you said, we're all really happy to have that going on and keeping the groups coming. Hopefully your clients and your viewers are planning their tours for later this year or next year, but things are going well.
That's really, really great. And, one of the things that I briefly mentioned was the really great proximity that Loudoun County has to Washington, D.C. So yeah. Do you have a lot of groups that are coming through D.C. or combining D.C. with the Loudoun County area?
We do. So we're just 25 miles from Washington, D.C., home to Dulles International Airport. So if that gives a little bit of a reference point. With that, we have easy access to the city, but we also offer a different product than the city, which I think is what really makes it a unique opportunity. You can do a couple days in the city and a couple days out in wine country, or utilize our properties for that more moderate price point hotel and use it as a hub and spoke to the city or the rest of the Northern Virginia region.
That's really great. And a lot of times people will, they're looking for a more budget-friendly area for their groups to stay, because we all know I'm I live in New York, New York City. So I do know how expensive it can definitely be when you're trying to get a group in that area. So, what kind of offerings do you guys have as far as accommodations for the groups that are coming in?
In regards to accommodations, we obviously have our standard branded properties, but what makes Loudoun a little bit more unique, most of our properties for groups are in the Dulles region, so by the airport. As you go further west, you do have opportunities in Leesburg and Ashburn. Depending on the time of year you're coming and the day of week and the program you're planning, we can tell you Leesburg's going to work. If you're only doing Loudoun and you're visiting the wineries, the breweries, the history, stay in Leesburg. It's a lot closer. But if you want to utilize the city and Loudoun, stay in Dulles, and that way you have a better hub and spoke location.
That's fantastic. And, and another great reason for people to get in touch with you is
Yes.
that you can guide them on what it is that they're hoping to experience when they come through your area. So that will also make a difference as to where they stay and what they can actually see. And what types of experiences and interactive things do you have for people to do and groups to do in your area?
So Loudoun is DC's wine country. We have 48 wineries within the county. But what a lot of the things we offer are very hands-on activities, unique activities, hidden gems, lesser known history, and lesser known objects or items. So for example, one of our wineries, they do sangria making. So you can go into the winery, you get a tasting, and then from their You Pick farm, they'll have fresh fruit and teach you how to make sangria. They split the group into smaller groups and kind of make it a little competition. No real prizes won except your pride, but it's one of those hands-on experiences that we have. Amongst others, we have a chocolate-themed restaurant where you can make your own chocolates or do chocolate sculpture making. You can go apple picking. We even, one of the most popular items, it seems, is a murder mystery dinner. So that's interactive. People in the group play a role. I recently did that in November with a group, and we had the best time, and I have not laughed that hard in a long time. So that's just a few of the options.
That's really fantastic. And I'm sorry, but if you're doing sangria making, I think the sangria is enough of a prize when you're finished with it that you can just,
fair.
really enjoy it.
I don't know. I keep trying to think of a way to make a prize, but no one's come up with anything yet. So we'll work on that today.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Hannah, you brought up a couple cities, Leesburg, Ashburn. For someone that may kind of be familiar with the area, but not totally, can you mention a couple of the cities and towns and just talk about the area in terms of that a little bit?
Absolutely. So Loudoun is a really unique mix. We have in the east side of the county, Leesburg and East is very urban. It's Ashburn, Dulles, Sterling, Leesburg. All of those areas are really great in the east. It's known as Data Center Alley. Fun fact, 70% of the world's internet travels through Loudoun County. And then as you go west, you hit more of our country towns, our charming towns where there's the walking historic districts that you can shop and dine. And that's Leesburg, Percival, and Middleburg, which are all really great group opportunities. So it's a little rural mixed with urban, which is a really fun, diverse option.
That's really great. And you've mentioned so many things, dealing with history, with food, with vineyards and breweries and stuff. So it sounds like you have a lot of different markets that would have a fantastic time with their groups in your area.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we can do student, we can do adult. It really depends on what you're looking for. Obviously, the student groups tend to stay in the Dulles region and use us for their base for a DC program. And what we always try to do is offer them something in the evening or in the morning to help with those driver's hours, depending on if they get in late and need to do something at the hotel or close to the hotel on their day of arrival, or whether they need to do something in the morning before they head into the city. And as you guys know, DC is a tricky area to plan. It always is really good to touch base with the partners in the area to know don't use that route at this time of day, or don't go this way at this time. So it really lends itself to multiple markets. A lot of our product, obviously being DC's wine country, is adult based, but we do have plenty of history and evening activities for the student groups as well.
That's fantastic. And you know, we all do know that if you just take a different route in DC, it could be a matter of, this is going to take me 15 minutes or it's going to take me 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is hugely important to stay in touch with your partners and stuff so you can figure out, you know, what is going to be the best route to save you the most time. So you can stay on that itinerary time and not go over your bus driver hours, which is
well,
awesome.
And I always say too, you know, obviously we are a little further out. So sometimes people are like, oh, that's too far, but we're right off the toll road. So you can make it into Tyson's if you're staying in Tyson's in 10 minutes. It's not really that much further than what you're already doing. And another really interesting fact about where we're located, Leesburg is only about an hour and 10 minutes south of Gettysburg. So if you're doing a DC Gettysburg tour, you can include Loudoun or stay in Loudoun and kind of make it a little easier so you can stay off of 95 and 270. So,
and like you said,
little tricks.
Using that as your hub for the spoke, you know, so you can go into different locations and always have that home hub right there in Loudoun. That's a really brilliant idea.
Yeah, that's easy.
Is there a specific time of year that's best, or do you have events and stuff that go on throughout the entire year?
So we have a lot of annual events that happen throughout the year. Obviously, spring is busy with students. So generally speaking, if we have an adult group that is okay with it, we will push them to the fall. The vines are in full bloom from July to October, and October is Virginia Wine Month. So there's a lot of little installations that happen throughout that time of year that work really well. Some of our annual events, one of my favorite ones for groups is actually the Waterford Fair. It is the first full weekend in October, and it is the oldest juried artisan fair in the country. So you can bring your groups in, they can have lunch on site in this old village, and then they can go wander through the town looking at vendors as they're making their product. The Waterford in general is actually on the National Historic Register of Places, the whole entire village. And during the fair, they actually make their villagers park their cars outside of it. So it feels like a real 17th century village, which is really fun. We have polo in the park during the summer on Saturdays in July and August. So if you've never seen a polo match, that's a really fun opportunity. It lends itself to groups having a picnic. They can have dinner on site there. We also have the Leesburg Flower and Garden Fest, Lovettsville Oktoberfest, which actually happens in September. And then 10 months out of the year, Leesburg opens their downtown area on Friday nights for First Friday, which is a really fun opportunity. Free wine tastings, music, restaurants and shops stay open later. So it's just a fun, easy activity for groups to get a feel for the town.
We talked a little bit about, you know, how Loudoun is DC's wine country, but something else about you guys is you have some great breweries. I mean, you've got over 30 breweries now.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your brew scene and how it's grown and how groups can experience a brewery.
So we have 35 breweries. You hit the nail on the head. Most of those do sit in our urban east, but we have what's called a farm brewery, which is where they're growing the hops, where they're doing the production. And generally speaking, that's where you're going to have the experience because they have the space. Although there's a few of our urban breweries that are close to the hotel properties in Dulles. So if you're going into the city during the day, you can always come and have dinner and then go to a brewery after dinner in Sterling. We are working with one that has some activations for groups, which is really fun, and it's right by the hotel. There's also one of our breweries has a cocktail bar. They have a biscuit bar, so they can do like a biscuit making class if you wanted to do something in the morning or in the evening, depending on what you want to do. With 35 breweries and 48 wineries, the best part about it is we have something if you're feeling anything. So if you want something that's big and grand, we have some of those. But if you want something that's a little bit more small and cozy, we can also offer opportunities for that.
That's fantastic. It really is. Being the expert there, what would you say What is something, or what are a couple of things that you wish or you think more people should include in their itinerary when they're coming to visit?
Okay, well, I already mentioned the sangria, but that
Yeah.
is one of my favorites. The fun part about the sangria is that their sister property is a cidery, and they do cider cocktail making. So you can do either or, depending on the likes of the group. The murder mystery. But one of my I'm not supposed to have favorites. Being the CVB, we're kind of like the parent, and we're not supposed to have favorites, but we do. One of my favorites is the National Sporting Library and Museum. It is an absolute hidden gem. As you know, docents make the tour, and the docents in this museum are absolutely amazing, and they bring this art to life. It is not necessarily art that everybody has interest in, but when you go in, they make it approachable for you. And then my favorite part about that is they have a rare book room. So they're bringing out books from the 1500s, a four-edge book, which you guys are all going to have to look up or come on the tour to find out what that is. They have handwritten speeches from Theodore Roosevelt, like fossilized artifacts from the 1600s, and they'll bring those out and show the group. So that's one of my favorite little hidden gems, and that's located down in Middleburg, which is horse and hunt country. So a lot of the art is based around horses and polo and the hounds.
That's fantastic.
So I know that, your area is known for Civil War and the history there. Mm-hmm. If someone wants to find out, more about the Civil War or visit some sites around Loudoun County, where can they go?
So we have a great historian. We have a gentleman who used to work in the school district. He now runs his own tour company called Red Bearded History, and he can do tours all throughout Loudoun. His mainstay is down in Middleburg, which is a really big portion of our Civil War history. And he can do a driving tour where you'll stop at Aldi Mill and see a milling demonstration. And you'll also stop at Mount Zion Church, which was used as a Civil War hospital and things like that. We also have a battlefield that you can do walking tours, but most of it is a lot of lesser known Civil War history. And most people don't know the Gettysburg Offensive actually started in Middleburg. So about a week or two prior to the Gettysburg offensive, they were battling down in Middleburg, and it kind of started to make its way up north. So there's a lot of really great, unique history that people aren't well aware of, which I think is more fun.
And you also have historic homes and areas like that for people to visit as well.
We do. And the fun thing about our historic homes is they kind of span a lot of different eras. So we have pre-Civil War, we have a historic house with the English garden that you can do. And actually our murder mystery dinner is done in their historic carriage house. So it's a really unique experience. Morven Park, which all three of our historic homes, easily enough, are located just in the Leesburg area. So if you just want to include one town and do a lot of history, you can stay in Leesburg. Morven Park is the home to two former governors. They talk a lot about agriculture because it sits on 1,000 acres. And that is where polo in the park takes place every summer. And then the Marshall House or Dodona Manor. Is everybody familiar, or either of you familiar with the Marshall Plan? Does anybody know who George C. Marshall is?
It rings a bell.
History lesson.
So
the European Recovery Act following World War II that basically saved Europe from bankruptcy. It was all of the donations and financial assistance that we sent a lot of it to Germany. He is the architect. So he was the Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense under three presidents. And his home is actually right in downtown Leesburg. And they do an excellent tour. Again, the docents make the tour, right? But that's, post-World War II history. So we go from pre-Civil War to post-World War II, all in the matter of 5 miles.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible.
It is. It's lesser known. Again, it's those little hidden gems, those unique pieces that you can easily tie into a DC package or something with Gettysburg, because we have those threads that can connect, but they're not necessarily the big hitters, which I think is kind of fun.
It's not only fun, but it's a great experience because 99% of the time there's so much more up close and personal too.
Yeah.
So you don't have to deal with the the crowds that you would have to deal with in some of the major places. But it's much more, it resonates so much more if you are that much closer to the history. And I really feel that that's something that you can get there. So that's wonderful. Well, we're going to take just a little pause. We want to continue the conversation, but first we have a little bit of a word or a couple words from our partners.
Group Travel Odyssey would like to take a moment to thank our amazing partners, including Book My Group, Travel Advocates, We Travel, Broadway Inbound, and Fly My Group. These partnerships help make business without boundaries possible, and we encourage our viewers to learn more about these wonderful companies. Now, back to Destination Dispatch.
Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a sample itinerary, and we're going to have Hannah just kind of walk us through everything that's on this itinerary. Now, this, for our GTO users, this is actually in Sales Manager. So if you hit your templates in Sales Manager and you search for Loudoun County, you'll be able to pull up this sample itinerary, and it will appear in your in your system like this. And so that's kind of, and just ignore the dates. That's just our sample that we have put in there. We know we're not going to be sending a group in to you on the 1st. We promise we won't. So, but what we'll do is we'll just go day by day and just kind of walk us through what people can experience on this sample itinerary that we have here.
Great. So I did mention a lot of this as we were talking. The first day, you kind of start in Middleburg. Again, horse and hunt capital of the country. So it's a lot of equestrian history. Lunch on Own. King Street Oyster Bar and Tyverse are just a couple of the options. You also have Cup of Giddy Up, which is a coffee and pastry shop. But there's lots of small boutiques. So it's a really great opportunity to give your guests time on own, time to explore. And after being on the bus for a few hours, especially if this is your starting point, it's great to just get off the bus and wander around. They have Christmas shops, horse shops, clothing shops, just home decor. So it's really fun. We did talk about the National Sporting Library and Museum, so you would head up that way. Again, walking distance, so you don't necessarily have to get back on the bus, which is really convenient. Mm-hmm. And you would split the group, likely, depending on the size. So part of the group would do the tour of the art museum, and some of the group would go into the rare book room. So kind of have to do that little rotation. Chrysalis Vineyards at the Ag District is actually one of our 48 wineries. And they will do a tasting. But the interesting thing about them is they also have a cheese farmstead. So they make their own cheeses on site. So you can sometimes, depending on the time of year, get a tour or a wine and cheese pairing of that sort. And then you would end the evening at one of our kind of what we call our destination restaurants. So Clyde's at Willow Creek Farm. Clyde's is a chain in the area, but Willow Creek Farm looks nothing like any other Clyde's you will see in the DMV area. It is a kind of a conglomeration of several farm buildings that were brought in from all over the region, and it was created into this large restaurant. There are carriages hanging from the ceiling from historic carriages. There are duck rooms. I mean, it's all done in very unique decor that is indicative to the area or what the area used to be, which is really fun. Starting the next day, you have a full day of touring. So we would go to Dodona Manor, which of course is the home to George C. Marshall. And now if I ever ask that question of you two again, I know you will know the answer. Another thing that they just started 2 years ago, because there were about 17 nations that that money went to, they started doing a Christmas program where they have 17 trees on the outside decorated by each of the nations to represent the 17 nations. So during Christmas, you can do that. Leesburg has almost about 30 restaurants within a 4 or 5 block walking radius. So again, a really great place to have lunch on own and free time. The gallery game, I'm going to make an adjustment here. We just had a art tour. So we have a walking art tour, and I'm sure you're finding this in other destinations. The mural and public art is a booming scene.
Mm-hmm.
And we had one of our board members actually created a walking art tour. So it's about a 1.5 mile leisurely stroll for about 1.5 hours, and you can learn about the different art pieces throughout Leesburg. And they span from modern to portrait to mural. And they all are very indicative to the area. And that's the whole point. That's what public art is moving towards, right? And then we go to one of our breweries. So Lost Rhino Brewery is one of our first breweries that we had. They do large distribution. They have great space in our urban east, and you'd have a tasting there. They do have snacks if you wanted to include those. And then we'd end the night at, like I said, one of my favorites, the murder mystery dinner, done. And most likely this would be done at Oatland's historic carriage house. So you get a little bit of the history with a little bit of the mystery. Breakfast at the hotel, of course. And then we go out to basically the furthest west that we have is Bluemont and what's called the Bluemont Experience, which includes Great Country Farms, and Henway Hard Cider and Bluemont Vineyards. So we actually, I think before we go to Great Country, we'd do the chocolate making class. This is a little out of order, I think, but we will do the chocolate making class. So we can either have them make bonbons. You can do a chocolate education class. You can do chocolate sculptures where they make, right now, I think they're in the bunny season, obviously for Easter being last week. So really great hands-on activity. Then we make our way out west and go to Great Country Farms, which is a pick your own farm. It has a market on site, great apple cider donuts. I would always recommend trying to include those for the group. And then we go to Henway Hard Cider, which is, again, walkable from the market. Mm-hmm. And you can do either a tasting, you can do lunch there, you can do the cider cocktail making class that I explained, and they'd even likely bring the sangria class down from the vineyard as well. So there's a lot of really great options just in that small area because they have the winery, the brewery, the cidery, and the market. So it's a lot, but it's a good variety of offerings.
Absolutely. Yeah. I like I just like the fact that there are so many different things for people to do. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not just a matter of it being the get on a bus and take a bus tour somewhere or just, you know, walking through someplace as a group. I love the idea of having that art walk and being able to explore some unique creations and murals and stuff that, you know, it would be great to learn more about this kind of stuff and to have an area where they can actually, you know, do that leisurely is really pretty incredible.
Well, and, you know, being near DC, we do get overshadowed. People don't know we're here. They use us for the hotel. So it's really nice to hear that you think that because there is so much to do. And we complement DC. We complement the Northern Virginia region. I always say we're the country to the city. So, you know, do a mixed program where you go to the city and you do all of that. And then you come out and you slow down a little bit.
Right.
And you take your time and you spend your time outside. You know, we offer that opportunity and people are always shocked that we're that close to the city. Once they get out to the vineyards and they see all the open space, they're like, wait, but I'm only 1 hour and 15 minutes from DC. You're like, yeah, it's really close. So,
yeah. And you know, I think this is more important now than ever, really, as people are kind of redeveloping their group tours, for them to be able to find unique out of the way destinations or places that are not just big city urban related, you know, getting people to branch out and getting people to do and experience new things that have been, like you said, that have been there for centuries. You know, some of these things have been around for a very long time, but you know, nobody has really taken advantage of it. I think one of the things that we see happening is that people are looking for more, or they're looking for an escape. So that way it isn't a matter of I'm going to spend 5 days in a major metropolitan city. they're looking for something to kind of get out of that a little bit more too. And so it's time for us to revise,
Yeah, and I found that more people are willing to lately, which has been really fun. I mean, it's allowed me to dig in and find even more things in my area to do, because people are actually changing their programming, which is really fun. You have a lot of people say they're interested, but now we're actually getting that interest.
Yeah. We do find that a lot, that it, people talk about, oh, this is something great that I want to do. I want to completely revise all of my itineraries and all of my group offerings and stuff like that. And then when they come out, you're like, wait a minute. Okay. oh, there's a different restaurant. Okay.
Yes, exactly. No, it's been exciting. It's been, as hard as COVID was, it's been, there's been some benefits that I think we all have seen. So
how have travel trends been this past season? I would say we all kind of wanted things to grow back again last year a lot, but what have you seen developing now for this year and next?
So yes, things are growing. They're getting bigger. We obviously have the outdoor kind of easily handled. All of our wineries, all the farm breweries, things like that, the small towns. But I think the slower pace. I think people are wanting to slow down, and we all get pigeonholed in that DC. You go, 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 go. You have to finish everything. You've got to do the night monument tour. You've got to finish everything. People are slowing down. They don't want to be rushed on and off the bus a ton. And we offer that. So you can go to the winery and you can have your tasting and you can have your organized group part, but you can also let them have a little free time.
Yeah.
And enjoy it on their own. And that's, our charming towns. Like I said, Leesburg is a great opportunity to do that. There's 6 breweries in downtown Leesburg. So none of them are big enough for a group, but if you give your group long enough in the town on free time, they can explore those on their own.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not everything has to be scheduled within a 5-minute time frame. So
correct.
Especially when you are dealing with adult groups, you can give them a little more time and
yeah. It's been
freedom.
Fun though, because you don't want to overfill a day, and it allows us to do that. So It's been really fun to see that happen.
Well, wonderful. Well, Hannah, thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. If people want to reach you or want some more information about the things that you've talked about today, how can they do so?
The easiest way is to email me at oliver@visitloudoun.org. Just make sure you spell Loudoun correctly. It's Loudoun. Our website, www.visitloudoun.org. We do have great social media as well on Facebook and Instagram. Our marketing team does an excellent job, and you can see some of those beautiful images of what we were talking about before. And we do have a YouTube. So
excellent.
Yeah.
I actually, I like on your YouTube, the love Loudoun like a local.
Yes.
That's what a great phrase. I mean, and it's just, it kind of gives you the feel of, when you take a look at those videos and stuff, it gives you the feel of that whole area. So,
well, we wanted to utilize our assets that we had here and let the locals tell you what they love. I can tell you all I want, but it's nice to hear it from someone that's not necessarily in the tourism world.
Right.
They have different SKUs on things. So it's always interesting.
Absolutely. Well, again, Hannah, thank you so much for joining us today, and keep in touch, and we will keep in touch and let you know when we're coming so we can go visit some wineries and
perfect
and stuff like that. And
we'll get also a little wine tour so you don't have to drive.
That sounds fantastic.
We'll do it all planned like that.
That's
perfect.
A deal. We'll see
awesome.
Thank you so much.
And
have a great Friday Eve, and also have a great weekend too.
Perfect. You too.
Take care.
Thank you.
Stevie, that sounds fantastic. I know between the breweries and the wineries and the history, it does sound like a pretty incredible place. And so, I can't wait to go visit. And actually, instead of just driving through the beautiful area, we'll stop for a while. So there's plenty to do.
Yeah.
Just a reminder to everybody, if you've not done so, again, make sure you follow us on LinkedIn. You can also like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel. There are plenty of ways for you to keep in touch with us. You can also visit our website if you want more information about Group Travel Odyssey, grouptravelodyssey.com, and contact one of us, and we will be more than happy to walk you through this entire system that we have for Group Travel Odyssey. Also, a reminder, on Tuesdays, we have GTO Coach and Go. It is a little coaching session where we feature some of our updates and system usage, so that way we can give you some pointers on how to use the GTO system better and more efficiently. On Thursdays, we do offer Destination Dispatch, as you're seeing right now. So please make sure to tune in on Thursdays at 2 p.m. and find out some more really incredible group-friendly destinations for you to use when you're planning your itineraries. And Stevie, how can they find out more about Destinations Beyond Expectations?
Well, we got something for almost every day of the week, because new episodes drop on Destinations Beyond Expectations every Friday. Is the podcast designed for students of travel. You can find out more by reading the banner down there. Type in dbetravel.com and check out the website. The podcast is also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, anywhere you can find podcasts. This week, so tomorrow, I'm dropping an episode talking all about Cairo and how you can have a really wonderful Egyptian travel experience to Cairo. So it's a great episode, and I look forward to sharing it with everyone tomorrow.
That's exciting. That's really exciting. So,
yeah.
Well, thank you for joining today. It's been great sharing this with you. And also for the rest of you, we hope to see you again at another one of our sessions, either Destination Dispatch or Coach and Go, and make sure you watch Stevie's podcast. Have a great weekend.
Thank you for watching this episode of Destination Dispatch. We invite you to stay connected with Group Travel Odyssey on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And be sure to check out more of our media, including GTO Coach and Go and the Destinations Beyond Expectations podcast. Please visit our website, grouptravelodyssey.com, where you can learn more about GTO and request a demo. Group Travel Odyssey, business without boundaries.